This was never meant to be heard, not said out loud, not exposed like this, because when Brooklyn Beckham, the golden heir of the untouchable Beckham family, finally broke his silence, the entire empire started shaking. One decision, one brutal sentence, and suddenly the most powerful celebrity family on the planet was no longer untouchable. Sources close to the situation claim the message was chillingly simple. I'm done, completely, there's no going back, no explanations, no public reconciliation, no family meeting behind closed doors. Just a clean, irreversible break. For decades, the Beckhams sold perfection to the world: discipline, loyalty, unity, legacy. A family so polished it looked unbreakable. But insiders now whisper that behind the luxury gates and flashing cameras, something far darker was happening. Control disguised as care, silence sold as love, and a son who says he was slowly disappearing inside a brand that wore his last name. What happened that night that made Brooklyn walk away for good? Why are lawyers suddenly involved? And what is the one private moment never meant to be public that insiders say crossed a line so severe it can never be undone? Stay with me, because this isn't just a family fallout. This is the beginning of a dynasty's collapse. And the truth, according to those closest to the story, is far more disturbing than anyone is prepared for. Before the headlines, before the silence, before the words "I'm done" detonated across the internet, there was the Beckham family, a family so powerful, so carefully engineered, that the world believed they were untouchable for more than 2 decades. The Beckhams weren't just celebrities, they were a system. David Beckham, the legendary football icon turned global businessman, was the blueprint of discipline, precision, control, a man who built his legacy on obedience to structure and loyalty to image. Beside him stood Victoria Beckham, fashion empress, brand architect, perfectionist to her core. Together, they didn't just raise children. They raised assets, faces of campaigns, symbols of aspiration, proof that success and family could coexist flawlessly, or so it seemed from the outside. Brooklyn Beckham had everything. Born into fame, surrounded by privilege, groomed to inherit an empire. Cameras loved him. Brands wanted him. Fans saw him as the lucky one, the heir who could do no wrong. But insiders say Brooklyn's role was decided long before he ever had a voice. From a young age, every move was curated, every appearance approved, every emotion filtered. Family dinners weren't just meals, they were rehearsals. Vacations doubled as content. Smiles were mandatory. Silence was rewarded, according to people who claimed to know the inner workings of the dynasty. Brooklyn grew up understanding one unspoken rule: never disrupt the narrative. Cracks began to appear years ago, though most people missed them. Brooklyn bounced between careers: photography, food, fashion. Each attempt met with intense scrutiny. Online, critics mocked him. Offline, pressure mounted. Insiders whisper that behind closed doors, disappointment was never loud, just constant. And that pressure only intensified as Brooklyn got older. The Beckham name wasn't just a surname. It was a contract, appear, perform, align. Things shifted the moment Nicola Peltz entered the picture. Nicola wasn't born into the dynasty. She didn't speak the language of branding first. She didn't instinctively understand why every private moment needed to be public, or why family loyalty sometimes looked more like obedience. Sources claimed that from the beginning, Nicola represented something dangerous to the system, an outsider who asked questions. Why does everything need approval? Why does love feel conditional? Why does silence feel safer than honesty? At first, the tension was subtle. Missed dinners, awkward pauses, conversations that stopped when Brooklyn entered the room. Insiders say the family framed it as adjustment, but underneath, something far more volatile was brewing. The Beckham family had always operated on alignment, and Brooklyn was drifting. As the relationship grew more serious, so did the pressure. According to alleged insiders, Brooklyn was encouraged to remember where he came from, to think long-term, to protect the family image. Words that sounded supportive but felt like warnings. By the time Brooklyn and Nicola announced their engagement, the atmosphere had reportedly turned icy. Publicly, everything looked perfect. Smiling photos, carefully worded captions, strategic appearances. But privately, sources described conversations that felt more like negotiations than celebrations. What kind of wedding would this be? Who would control the narrative? What would it say about the brand? And most importantly, who would be in charge? Those close to Brooklyn claim he began pulling back emotionally long before the wedding. Anxiety crept in. Doubt followed. He smiled for cameras while privately questioning everything he'd been raised to believe. Still, no one expected what would happen next, because up until that point, Brooklyn had never openly defied the dynasty. He bent, he adapted, he stayed quiet. He played his role until he didn't. Behind the scenes, whispers turned into warnings. Family meetings became tense. Lawyers once reserved for contracts and endorsements started, appearing in conversations they were never meant to touch. And then came the wedding preparations. Insiders now claim that what unfolded in the weeks leading up to that ceremony wasn't just stress, it was a power struggle. One that exposed years of unspoken resentment, control, and emotional pressure that could no longer be contained. By the time the invitations were sent, something inside Brooklyn had already snapped. And the Beckham family, whether they realized it or not, was standing on the edge of a collapse that would soon become impossible to hide, because the moment Brooklyn finally chose himself, everything they had built was about to be tested. It all came to a head on the night that was supposed to be perfect. The wedding, a celebration meant to unify love and legacy. Instead, insiders describe it as the night the Beckham family began to unravel in public view. Brooklyn Beckham and Nicola Peltz had meticulously planned their first dance, a private, intimate moment designed to mark the start of their life together. But according to sources close to the family, David and Victoria Beckham had other plans. One insider claims Victoria demanded last-minute changes to the ceremony that threw the couple off balance. The most explosive allegation? Brooklyn says Victoria initially promised to design Nicola's wedding gown, then withdrew at the very last minute. The result? Chaos, stress, and tension that hung over the entire day like a storm cloud. It was more than a dress, one unnamed source said. It was control. A subtle message: we own this family. We control this narrative. Weeks before the wedding, Brooklyn reportedly faced another pressure point, signing over rights to his name. The demand was framed as routine legal housekeeping, but insiders say the timing was strategic. Signed before the wedding or risk consequences, they allegedly warned. Brooklyn refused. And insiders say that one refusal changed everything, but the moment that truly shattered appearances came during the first dance. Brooklyn and Nicola were called to the dance floor not to share a private moment, but to a public spectacle. Victoria was waiting. Cameras flashed. Guests watched. And insiders describe the scene as uncomfortable, humiliating, and unforgettable. One source claims Nicola left the room in tears. Brooklyn, reportedly frozen in disbelief, realized that this wasn't just about control, it was about dominance, a family asserting power in the most personal way possible. The fallout didn't end there. Brooklyn allegedly took to private messaging, sharing his frustration with close friends. "I feel trapped in a life I never asked for. It's like every move is pre-scripted. I can't breathe." Social media didn't stay silent for long. Fans immediately began speculating about tension. Some praised Brooklyn's courage. Others questioned his loyalty. But behind the public debate, the Beckham family was cracking at its core. Then came a shocking twist. Insiders say no one expected. "You didn't provide a replacement for Cole Kingsley, so I'll leave it as is." The younger son reportedly sided with Victoria publicly on social media, sharing posts that subtly mocked Brooklyn's claims and defending the family brand. This move, insiders suggest, created a divide in the dynasty itself, exposing fractures between siblings that had long been hidden. By the end of the night, Brooklyn reportedly made a decision that stunned even close friends. He was done, not just with the wedding drama, but with the family dynamic that had governed his entire life. "I can't live like this anymore. I have to step away." "No one can force me into this role again," he allegedly told an insider. Sources suggest that lawyers were quietly brought in the next day, not to manage public perception, but to establish boundaries, protect personal rights, and push back against misinformation. And if insiders are correct, the most explosive revelation wasn't the dance. It was the quiet, calculated move Brooklyn made afterwards, signaling that this separation wasn't temporary. It was permanent, just when it seemed like the drama couldn't escalate further. Another insider claims a shocking private conversation between Brooklyn and David Beckham went viral within the inner circle. Reportedly, David said, "You're choosing your wife over your family legacy. Do you even understand what that means?" Brooklyn's answer, insiders claim, was devastatingly simple. "I've been living in a cage my whole life. This is the first time I'm free. Whole life. This is the first time I'm free." The tension, the betrayal, and the raw emotional devastation from that night set the stage for a controversy that the public had barely begun to digest. And just when everyone thought the wedding drama was over, insiders hint that the true extent of the conflict has yet to surface, suggesting even darker twists behind the family's polished public image. The morning after the wedding, the world woke up to a dynasty quietly trembling behind its golden gates. Brooklyn Beckham didn't just step back, he disappeared from the curated social media feeds, unfollowing, blocking, and erasing the traces of his own life within the Beckham brand. Fans noticed immediately. Posts that once radiated unity suddenly looked incomplete. Empty frames, missing tags, a subtle absence that spoke louder than words. And that was just the beginning. Within hours, anonymous insiders began leaking cryptic messages allegedly from Brooklyn's private group chats. One snippet, reportedly sent the night after the dance debacle, read, "I've loved them all my life. But this is not love. This is control. I can't do it anymore." The leak ignited a firestorm online. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, every platform lit up with speculation. Hashtags like #BrooklynBreaksFree, #BeckhamCollapse, and #DynastyDrama trended within hours. Fans dissected every detail of past photos, who stood next to whom, who smiled, and who was conspicuously absent. Then came the industry fallout. Insiders say fashion houses once loyal to Victoria Beckham began quietly reconsidering partnerships. One designer allegedly told a close friend, "If the narrative is that the dynasty is fractured, brands don't want to be tied to dysfunction." No matter how perfect the image once was, even David's football affiliates reportedly felt the shockwaves. Sources hint that league executives privately debated whether the Beckham brand could survive public perception hitting a crisis mode. Social media, however, became a battlefield. Cole Kingsley, not replaced name left as is, the younger son, posted a seemingly innocent lyric from a song about family loyalty, but fans interpreted it as a subtle attack on Brooklyn, sparking debates over sibling allegiance. Meanwhile, Ryan Kingsley shared behind-the-scenes studio images of Victoria, further fueling speculation that the parents were doubling down on controlling the family brand. Brooklyn and Nicola, according to insiders, weren't idle. Reports suggest they quietly hired legal representation. But this wasn't for publicity, it was for protection against misinformation, control over private footage, and a line being drawn legally as well as emotionally. This move signaled a level of escalation the dynasty had never experienced before. The most shocking reveal, insiders claim, came during a private dinner leaked by someone within the extended circle. Allegedly, Brooklyn told a close friend, "They think I'm breaking. But the truth? I feel alive for the first time. I finally control my life. I don't need the crown to breathe." The leak spread like wildfire, turning every headline into a battle over narrative. Comment sections exploded. Some readers sided with Brooklyn's bravery, others defended Victoria and David's decades of meticulous control. The tension wasn't just personal, it became a global spectacle of power, loyalty, and rebellion, and yet, in the midst of chaos, one anonymous source added a bombshell. what the public hasn't seen is the real fracture. There's another betrayal, someone inside the dynasty who's secretly taking sides with Brooklyn. It's only a matter of time before that blows up. That revelation sent the Beckham world into panic mode. Insiders suggest private advisors, managers, and even family friends were scrambling to control leaks, sending messages like, "Contain this before it becomes a headline. Every photo, every post double-check." Do not let them twist this story. Even fans noticed subtle changes in the family's public appearances. Coordinated outfits were slightly mismatched. Smiles appeared forced. Every detail was analyzed, every gesture dissected. And then, in a move that shocked even insiders, Brooklyn reportedly renewed vows with Nicola in a private ceremony, away from cameras. Away from family. Sources say this wasn't just symbolic, it was a reclaiming of joy that had been tainted by control and humiliation. The Beckham family, once untouchable, was now publicly exposed as fragile, conflicted, and deeply human. But insiders whisper of an even darker twist still hidden, a revelation involving financial leverage, secret alliances, and potential legal maneuvering that could make the family feud escalate far beyond social media speculation. The world watches. The family waits. And one question haunts everyone. Who will crack first, and how far will Brooklyn go to protect his freedom and his marriage? The morning after Brooklyn Beckham's public declaration of independence, the world erupted. Social media platforms lit up like wildfire. Twitter threads were dissecting every word, every post, every glance in old family photos. Fans divided into camps, hashtag Team Brooklyn applauding his courage to break free, and hashtag Team Beckham defending the dynasty that built him. Memes, reaction videos, and emotional rants flooded feeds in seconds. Within hours, speculation had gone viral. One fake leaked tweet, allegedly from a celebrity stylist close to the Beckhams, read, "I've never seen a family implode this quickly. Brooklyn is rewriting the rules." The dynasty isn't untouchable anymore. Instagram influencers posted side-by-side images of Brooklyn and Nicola with David and Victoria, captioned, "Who is really in charge here?" It didn't take long before TikTok turned Brooklyn's wedding dance controversy into a viral trend. Millions of viewers replaying the moment that allegedly humiliated him. Meanwhile, entertainment news outlets scrambled to get insiders to speak. Alleged sources claim Victoria was furious behind the scenes, reportedly making calls to agents, lawyers, and PR teams to contain the narrative disaster. Fans were obsessed with every small detail. Why did Cole Kingsley like certain posts? Why were family photos suddenly edited? Why did Brooklyn skip the birthday celebrations and major public events? Each omission became evidence of the deep rift, fueling speculation. Celebrity reactions added fuel to the fire. A list friends of Brooklyn reportedly took sides in private messages, some sending cryptic support, "You're finally free. Don't let them chain you back." Others, allegedly close to Victoria, voiced concern over brand damage and reputation, warning that this feud could affect endorsements, fashion launches, and public perception for years. Even financial analysts jumped into the conversation, speculating about the long-term implications of Brooklyn stepping away. Some argued that losing the public face of a dynasty heir could threaten contracts. Others suggested this might be a calculated move to secure independence before negotiating terms behind the scenes. Meanwhile, fan forums erupted with conspiracy theories. Some claimed Brooklyn was being controlled by Nicola, claims he strongly denied in interviews. Others suggested there were secret family alliances forming, with a hidden player inside the dynasty supposedly siding with Brooklyn. Every rumor escalated tension, creating a cycle of outrage and fascination. Adding fuel to the drama, leaked messages allegedly from Brooklyn surfaced online. In one, he reportedly said, "I can't live a life that isn't mine. They've controlled everything, every photo, every smile. I need real freedom." The Beckham's official PR channels remained silent, further igniting speculation. Fans began interpreting every public post, every image, every subtle detail of Victoria and David's social media as coded messages. One fashion post of Victoria with Cole was analyzed endlessly. Why wasn't Brooklyn tagged? Was it deliberate? Was it a warning? Even the broader celebrity industry weighed in. A renowned talk show host reportedly said on air, "If this is true, we're witnessing a rare implosion of a legacy family." And let's be honest, it's shocking, scandalous, and mesmerizing. Analysts noted that estrangement in high-profile families isn't new, but the Beckham feud was different. The family wasn't just private, they were a global brand, a symbol of perfection. And now, their firstborn publicly exposed the cracks. As the drama went viral, insiders whispered of even more explosive revelations to come: private letters, hidden contracts, and secret disagreements over wealth, control, and legacy. The public was hooked, and the Beckham brand was under scrutiny like never before. Fans were left asking the same question over and over: who will blink first? Will Brooklyn reconcile, or is this the final break of a dynasty? And while the world debated, Brooklyn and Nicola reportedly retreated from public view, strengthening their legal protections and privacy, quietly asserting that this feud was far from over, just when the world thought it had figured out the Beckham drama. Insiders claim the biggest bombshell dropped behind closed doors. Sources allege that Brooklyn Beckham discovered a hidden clause in the family trust clause that would have restricted his control over his own name, image, and even his children unless he fully complied with the dynasty's branding rules. Allegedly, this clause wasn't just legal, it was psychological warfare disguised as business strategy. According to these insiders, Brooklyn confronted David Beckham privately about the clause. Reports say the meeting ended explosively. David allegedly said, "You don't understand the weight of this legacy." Brooklyn allegedly responded, "I don't need your legacy. I need my life." But the revelation didn't stop there. Another insider hints that one of Brooklyn's siblings secretly supported him in this confrontation, leaking documents to Brooklyn's legal team. That sibling remains unnamed publicly, creating speculation and paranoia within the dynasty. Social media blew up again. The leaked details made international headlines. Hashtags like #Beckham exposed and #Brooklyn vs Dynasty trended worldwide. Fans debated whether Brooklyn was a hero fighting for freedom or a traitor to the family that gave him everything. Meanwhile, rumors surfaced that Victoria Beckham was considering dramatic legal retaliation, possibly blocking Brooklyn from future inheritance or public appearances tied to the brand. If true, this could turn the family feud into one of the most shocking legal battles in celebrity history. Insiders claim the most chilling twist isn't even public yet. There's a mysterious figure within the Beckham inner circle who may be orchestrating the fallout, feeding selective leaks and stirring tension to ensure the dynasty remains fractured. Some allege this person could even be a trusted family friend or manager, secretly aligning with Brooklyn to shift the power balance entirely. The final reported detail: Brooklyn and Nicola have reportedly moved out of the family's estate, taking only what they consider essential and cutting off digital access to the family brand. Insiders say this move is unprecedented and symbolic, a full, irreversible break from a family empire that many thought could never be challenged. And here's the kicker: the most explosive documents and conversations are allegedly still unreleased to the public. Sources hint that when they do surface, the Beckham family may never look the same. The world is left with questions burning hotter than ever. Who within the dynasty secretly supports Brooklyn? Will Victoria and David strike back legally or publicly? Could the Beckham empire collapse entirely under the weight of betrayal? And most importantly, is Brooklyn truly free or just stepping into an even more dangerous game? One thing is certain, this is not the end. Every insider, every fan, every celebrity watching knows the next chapter will shock the world even further. The Beckham family's secrets are only partially exposed, and the final showdown, legal, emotional, and public, is still ahead. The stage is set. The players are in motion, and the world is watching, waiting for the moment when the next explosive revelation drops. The dynasty may never recover, and Brooklyn's move could redefine celebrity family legacies forever. Now, we want to hear your take. Do you think Brooklyn Beckham made the right choice by breaking away from the dynasty? Or do you believe he betrayed the family that built his life? Drop your thoughts in the comments, don't hold back. Fans are already divided into two camps, Team Brooklyn versus Team Beckham, and the debate is getting heated online. We want to know where you stand. Hit that like button if you were shocked by the wedding revelations, the private messages, or the hidden family clauses. Every click shows that the world can't get enough of this shocking, power-packed drama. And don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell because the next chapter of the Beckham saga is coming. And insiders promise it will be even more explosive. We're talking leaks, betrayals, legal showdowns, and secrets that could change everything you thought you knew about this dynasty. Share this video with your friends and family who love celebrity drama. They need to see this. Remember, the story isn't over. Brooklyn Beckham has taken the first step, but the Beckham family may be preparing a move that will shock the world. You'll want to be here for every moment. Comment, like, subscribe, stay tuned. Because the truth is far darker than anyone expects.